Hi, I'm BoredGamer. Hope you're doing well. If you'd like to ask a question during this live stream, which will be primarily about Star Citizen, then please put question in brackets and then ask whatever sort of question you fancy. My specialist subjects are Star Citizen and me, so lots of stuff about YouTube and stuff as well, I suppose. How do you earn the Pirate Aggressor badge? Beat Pirate Swarm multiplayer on Arena Commander. That's how you... Pirate Swarm mode, beat it. Yeah, I believe it only registers if you do it in multiplayer. And that will get you the Pirate Aggressor badge. It is good to ask how to get the Pirate Aggressor badge, because after 3.19, so once we move on to 3.20, so after 3.19.1, should I say, but once we move on to 3.20, the Pirate Aggressor badge is going. There is a new version of Pirate Swarm and a new achievement to get. I work on Sundays. I have to work a little bit more than normal, typically, because Zin has the weekend off. And I've got other sort of business interests to sort of take care of. I hope everyone's doing well, though. Hope you are enjoying the stuff that Star Citizen and CIG are putting out. Someone did say they had loads of 30Ks in 3.19.1. I've had a fantastic experience in 3.19.1. It's probably the best patch I've ever been part of. Sort of stability-wise. Now, that might not always be the case, and there might be servers and outlying issues and other problems that other people are having. I will say I might be at the edge case having a great experience. Yeah, 3.19.1 has been effectively a dream for me compared to other patches. And on paper, and with all the improvements that Cloud Imperium have made, both persistent entity streaming, just sort of general playability, stability, and accessibility, 3.19.1 looks to be shaping up like the best patch they've had. Now, it is possible that they'll have some deployment issues. It is possible that it will be a buggy sort of 30k mess once it's deployed. However, it's looking pretty good. Also, if you melted your Gladius Pirate, you'll find it in the buyback tokens. It won't show up as buyable again in the standard form. I didn't know that if you melted your Pirate. But I suppose Pirate Gladius is effectively a promo item, right? And some promos have problems with the buyback system. When Alien Week, it looks like it'll be starting next Monday. That's not confirmed. I'm expecting it between Monday the 12th and sort of the Friday the 16th to start around one of those days. And Alien Week, lots of cool alien things going on. You can expect alien specials of Inside Star Citizen, Star Citizen Live, some sort of alien ship sale, and probably where you can buy like the Rylan and the Santok Yai and the Bandit Merchantman, stuff like that. But we might, it's possible, we might see something like the Santok Yai flyable, or some sort of new alien ship or vehicle concept of flyable as well. A lot of people think that Santok Yai is just going to be ready for Alien Week. I'm a 50-50 on it at the moment. Multiplayer. So you need to play multiplayer Pirate Swarm mode, which is co-op with other players. However, you don't technically need any other players to join the multiplayer match. You can do it solo, effectively, in that multiplayer mode. But if you try it single player, I don't think you actually get the Pirate Aggressor achieve. As in, if you select single player. Oh, so if you melt your Pirate Gladius, it appears in your buyback tokens, but you can't buy it again from the shop, effectively. Gotcha. It doesn't appear as its own thing in the shop anymore. Gotcha. So effectively, you have a credit on your account with the Pirate Aggressor badge to be able to buy one of each of the pirate ships. I think it's Pirate Gladius and Pirate Caterpillar, right? Once you've bought them, they disappear. Any chance that 3.20 will actually allow us to store and transfer cargo in a central area? It is possible that they it's possible that we have persistent hangars or something like that then, or more ability to move cargo around. That is possible. It is not a listed feature of 3.20 at the moment, and it's certainly not a focus of that 3.20 patch, which appears to be lots of little minor additions and Arena Commander and Star Marine. The thing is with 3.20 is we don't know enough about the patch yet. I think it's going to be focusing on a bit of cargo refactor stuff, so potentially there could be some more cargo gameplay like that. I think we're going to see sort of ship tractor beams, stuff like that as well. I'll see all of those Arena Commander and Star Marine updates. Actually, I think ship scale tractor beams and more cargo stuff is probably going to be a focus of it. You mentioned the pirate swarm was changing. Are we losing the ships if we have them unlocked but didn't buy them? Don't know. I don't know. I'd assume that you'd still be able to purchase those ships because you'd still have the ability to do so. You have like the authority to do so, right? I don't know for sure. Clan Imperium have not stated one way or another. I would assume you would keep them, the ability to purchase them. Do you think they will allow for AI gunners in the new Arena Commander update? Eventually, probably, but not immediately. For 3.20, there is multi-crew in Arena Commander, so you can literally spawn in one of your friends' gunner seats, effectively, in their ship. And you can't leave that seat then afterwards, as in move around freely, get out of the chair. But it will allow for you to do Pirate Swarm, Vandal Swarm, and PvP modes, multi-crew in ships, which is absolutely fantastic, and we've needed it for so long. But in the future, I think you'll be able to have AI gunners, yeah. Banner Merchantman getting canned again. Yes, so they've paused production on the Banner Merchantman. What they said does make sense. They're going to be focusing first on the RSI capital ships. They want to get the Polaris out, and then the Perseus and Galaxy. They all sort of share resources, sort of assets and stuff that they can then use to rapidly build out those other ships a lot quicker. They will be getting the Banner Merchant out at some point, but those teams are otherwise sort of dispersed at the moment. Thank you so much, Joe Kluwer. Thank you. 10 memberships, it looks like. I don't know if it's saying it twice or if you've done it once. But thank you very much. Giving a load of memberships away on my channel using the join button and gifty memberships, you boys. Thank you. That's actually quite a lot of money. Oh, God. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated, sir. I've not seen your name around. Oh, no, I have. I've seen your name around before. It looks familiar. But genuinely, thank you. I was appreciated, sir. Do you think we'll get more alien ground vehicles? Yes, almost certainly. Eventually, we're going to have a few alien ground vehicles. It's possible that's one of those things that Clan Imperium are working on, unannounced vehicles or ships, is an alien ground vehicle. And we've only got the Airpo and Nox at the moment, and lots of human ground vehicles. Yeah. I would like to see some groundy boys. Saw someone say the C1 was going to be sold during Alien Week, which is amazing. Maybe. I doubt. I don't think so, specifically for Alien Week. Unless there's some sort of alien vehicle that pairs up with it, right? Any news about when CIG are going to implement a new practical star map and UI? We know they're working on star map, minimap, UI updates and that sort of stuff, mostly for Squadron 42, then that will sort of go into the persistent universe. Obviously, I think it's super important to get that ASAP in, but they're working on it. Would have been nice if the Banner Merchant was ready for Alien Week. Yeah, it would have been, but it's not going to be ready for a while. It is a very bespoke, very unique ship, and some of the team that were working on it left, and then it fell under the it didn't really have a team that fell under after that. So they redistributed those guys and went, right, let's get the RSI ships done. We're expanding the ship teams. They're going to have another couple of ship teams, I believe, that they're getting out now. And then they'll be able to work on more capital ships each year as well. But yeah, the Bandit Merchantman's a big shame because I think a lot of people love that ship, desperately want it in game. Do you think the Arena Commander updates are paving the way for Death of a Spaceman to be arriving soon by allowing a consequence-free zone? I mean, the game is pushing towards that. I don't think we're going to see Death of a Spaceman and proper insurance done properly for at least a year, probably not another, probably at least 2 years, in my opinion. I've heard some say 3.20 in October, and some say August. What's it aiming for? So, Q3 patch is typically end of September on paper, but normally pushes into sort of mid-October to potentially coincide with CitizenCon. So bear that in mind. We don't know yet. And we do know that 3.20 is planned as a Q3 patch, though. Do you think Squadron 42 is coming Q4 this year or even next year? I'm hoping next year. I don't think so this year. They've obviously stopped selling Squadron 42 briefly as they change stuff, change the price on it, is what they said. I'm assuming there's going to be an announcement as well. We'll have to wait and see. Hey bud, new to the game, would you recommend Star Citizen? I recommend it if you have friends that are already playing it, an org that you can join, or you're happy being a Star Citizen tourist. Star Citizen is beautiful and quite fun, but it is an alpha, and it is very much in development, and your sort of feedback will help shape that development. And there's loads of cool stuff to see each major patch. However, the playability and progression of each patch is a bit hampered. So what I mean by that is that the game is very much not complete. Some of the core mechanics still aren't there. It can be quite fun, but it's quite fun to play for a while and then go, oh, I've seen all the new stuff, done all the new cool things. Stuff's going to be wiped at some point, or I'm experiencing some bugs with this, or I've done a good portion of the gameplay available. I'll come back when there's more in 3 months' time. If you've got an organisation you play with or a group of friends you play with regularly and you set your own sort of goals, absolutely awesome game. And there's the sort of dynamic events that happen every so often as well, which are reasonably big deals. They're pretty good fun. Threat, Siege of Horus, and stuff like that. I apologise if you've already answered this. Based on current development cadence, do you anticipate 3.19 going live? When do you anticipate 3.19.1 going live? So, this week. I would expect 3.19.1 to go live, probably by the weekend. Yeah, that's my expectation. Would you be able to queue as a gunner in a Arena Commander? You will be able to spawn as someone else's gunner, yes. You'll be able to gun someone else's ship. It is multi-crew. Any chance the grayed out mode in Star Marine is Theatres of War? So people don't know. They are working on some Theatres of War-esque modes and some experimental modes, including like a Tonk Royale, so tank battles and stuff like that. Lots of stuff they're working on. They will have combined armed modes. They will have Theatres of War-like modes, if not Theatres of War. So there was a blurred out sort of panel in some of these Arena Commander screens inside Star Citizen. I believe it was unscrambled. I think it was on Star Citizen Leaks. They said it was probably master modes, master mode tests for 3.20. That's what their expectation was, and that's what it looks like to them. Server meshing and Pyronix are my personal hurdles before I recommend the game to most people. Yep, that seems reasonable. Them getting server meshing in, them getting the new star system in. My recommendation is Star Citizen's a great game. You only need the sort of starter pack to play it and actually do pretty well and get everything in game. And if you want to be a tourist, it's perfect. Or you join an org, or you've got a group of friends to play with already. Does the Pirate Caterpillar Slasgalios get 120 month insurance during a Pirate Week or IAE? I don't know. I don't actually know. Have CIG actually given a definitive, unequivocal answer on what time-limited lifetime insurance actually covers? Nope. Nope. Nothing definitive about what insurance fully means yet. I'm assuming, I think that it's going to be the base hull of your ship is covered with lifetime insurance, or even the timed insurance. And if you make any changes to your ship, then those changes won't be covered, and they're probably going to be things that cost a lot more. I think that if you get high-grade components for your ship, they're going to be worth a lot more than the hull of your ship when you sort of combine them all. When do you think we'll see the Squadron 42 pack back in the Pledge store? I don't know. To me, I'm assuming they're going to do an announcement and then sell it again as sort of like a marketing push. But I don't know when. Is there any news on AI using the Verse EEG, running trade routes, sending out rescue beacons, etc.? So each patch, you'll notice that they sort of build in some new missions and stuff. That's sort of, I believe they're all at least semi-ready for the Dynamic Universe sim, which is being worked on at the moment. But they haven't talked about the details of that for a little while. I think it's a lot sooner given. Oh, so yeah. So some people think that Death of a Spaceman's coming real soon. It certainly is possible. Since Cloud Imperium haven't specifically been talking about Death of a Spaceman coming like tomorrow or the next patch or anything. So they might start talking about it soon. It might come in next year. Any news on the alien ship, the Silent? Nope. As far as I'm aware, that was sort of like more of a leak, but we don't know anything about it really. BoredGamer does not use Telegram to contact the public or private. It's true. I don't. You see someone saying, "You've won our thing, give me money, go here and you need to pay the postage to get a PS5. That's not me. I don't talk like that. Except that then when I was talking like that. Would you recommend external hull series or internal Caterpillar as best choice for cargo? So I like Hull C and Greater for pure cargo. Caterpillar, good for cargo, more focused on sort of modular gameplay stuff, right? But obviously it's a solid cargo choice. Bear with me 1 second. There's somebody at the door. You've returned. Oh, sorry about that. I just checked on my cats and stuff as well, because they were making weird sounds. My neighbour came over to drop off some donuts. Just some donuts. I was like, okay, thanks. Hey, buddy, you look fat. You want some donuts? That's basically when I. That's what she said. It's not what she said. Do you want these? Do you think that Star Citizen will get something similar to clone hopping in Eve? It's getting more and more like Eve with its with cloning and coming back and having your consciousness covered over. Maybe in the future. Nothing in Star Citizen is set in stone, right? It was NordVPN at the door, yes. They went, have you protected your computer? Yes, I have. Well, that's okay then, little boy. Have some free referrals to Nord. And then walked off. Which patch do you think organizations will have more of a functioning game? This is something that is, in my head, so easy to add. Not a game developer. So easy to add and so essential, right? Having the ability to see at a glance who's in what org. See your friends in your org. Share permissions with sort of org mates. Share ships, that sort of stuff. Why is Lord Santa? That's not Santa. Ho, ho, ho. I'm Lord Santa. It's a little bit harsher. He's been smoking a bit more. One of them's, this is more of a story voice. I think, so someone was talking about this the other day. I do some D&D, play some D&D with my mates. Quite a big group of 7 of us. And we've played through a variety of things, some Call of Cthulhu stuff, some D&D Descent to Avernus. We're playing Rime of the Ice Maiden at the moment. I think CIG are going to be doing some D&D. I think it might just be a personal campaign, though. I think it's just they're doing some stuff in their offices. But I think that Jared might be DMing it. Because one of my mates said, "Can you do me a model?" So I painted his model for. I 3D printed and painted his model for him. That works at CIG, and there was an implication there that they were going to do some D&D there. I think the suggestion was that Jared was going to be DMing. And they got that table for it as well. I've more put a lot of stuff together. But yeah, that might be quite cool. Maybe they'll show it on stream or something one day. What is the alien ship that you are excited about the most? Planet Merchantman, almost certainly. But it's going to be a while. Sketch Therapy, thank you very much. 23 months. Being a board member, you monster. Will members ever get to play with you? I'd love to. Yes, we will. When Star Citizen is in a relatively stable state that we can just sit down and play, I want to be doing it at least monthly, where we sort of play with people on the Discord. We sort of jump in. We'll just do something like that. Might do it once for members and once for just sort of anyone that's around. That sort of stuff each month. Susan and I have talked about that. We'll do that. When it's sort of work it into our schedule so that we do it consistently, because we can get a load of footage from that as well, and it's just a good laugh. BG, do you think server meshing will be more or less painful than persistent anti-streaming? It has the potential to be more painful for at least during the PTU phase. Although I do think large portions of the server meshing stuff are sorted, I think during the PTU and Evocado phases it's going to be almost unplayable. But that's the iteration that they will need to go through. Hopefully it will be a lot better in the later PTU stages and live. So I think there's always the potential it could be worse though, right? SCIG is now working on the Polaris and with also the assets for ships like the Perseus and Galaxy. When do you think these ships will be completed? Don't know. So Cloud and PM have not scheduled them in properly yet. I would expect them all over the next 18 months is what I would hope. Because they're not sort of mega capital ships, right? They are sort of Corvette-sized, and they can be chained together relatively well. That would be my hope. Not a confirmation. Joseph, thank you very much. Do you think server meshing in 2023 or 2024? I think we could see server meshing tests by the end of the year. But now, that would be sort of very limited tests. I do think it's more of a 2024 feature. I do think Cloud Imperium as well, they've said they're starting to focus on, at least from what I could read, pyro and jump points over server meshing. Server meshing is still important. I think that 4.0 will have pyro, but not necessarily static server meshing. Maybe server meshing like super light. Do you think ground vehicles will have a place in the game beyond being another thing to have? So, I think there will be lots of reasons to have ground vehicles in the future. I think there'll be environmental hazards and ground defenses that will prevent ships from being used, or at least being superior in areas. I think there'll be just some areas where you just can't get ships at all. And also, I think it will be a lot more cost-effective in certain areas, like areas you don't want to use so much fuel or whatever. Using ground vehicles like around your base at Pyro, much more cost-effective than using ships. Things like that as well. During 3.17, I noticed that certain remote turret stations were able to act as kind of fire director, aiming and firing other turrets controlled from the same station if the control turret was aiming invalid arcs for secondary turrets. Do you know if this is unintended? So I know that they were working on AI blade type stuff when they were doing for some of the ships. So they've got very lightweight AI which will point and fire at stuff as part of sort of the game at the moment. They've got lightweight AI that will go pew pew, shoot this target, shoot this target. They worked on it for like the Bengal and things like that, so they can have loads of turrets, and lots of the AI sort of use it for lots of the ships. I believe some of those things sort of like get propagated to other ships, and obviously if you steal an AI ship, they sort of aim at your target. Any more news on Pyro and its development? We should see some more news later this week with the monthly reports. Is it worth adding Pyro without server meshing? Yeah. I mean, it will be still have steps towards server meshing for sure. And it's Cloud Imperium want to push stuff out. Stability could take years. Could we play before that? Yes. Oh, you're talking about play with Xenolite. We're planning for 3.19.1. We are planning for that. Do you think the addition of Pyro, that server meshing and legacy systems like parties and VoIP will be improved on? I bloody well hope so. It's essential that it does, right? What makes 3.19.1 any different than the 3.18 patches, in your opinion? It's the iteration on persistent entity streaming and a concerted effort to fix bugs. So everything's a lot calmer now. And they've been able to just sort of refine and iterate on a load of the problems that they've had. It's looking really good, 3.19.1, assuming that and they found loads of fixes to things like database issues and connecting the databases together, and a load of, like, if you see how snappy the ASOP terminals are and stuff now on 3.19.1. Oh, something weird to be excited about, but I like that sort of stuff when the databases are acting as intended and boop, really, really quick. With all the other 3.18, 3.19 patches looking good in the PTU, then they got bad, what's your opinion that makes 3.19.1 better? Talked about that. Also, can you see my comment replying to the giveaway? I had issue. Just drop me an email, Derek. I do need you to reply to the original comment, though I can signpost you to where it is again. That basically confirms your identity. Derek Pettigrew is the winner of last month's giveaway. BG, do you think server meshing will be more, or we talked about that already? When do you think 3.20 will release? So yeah, as I said, end of September is when it's or mid-October, sort of roughly, where it will release probably. So I'm expecting the Spirit series to be ready for it, yes, or at least the Spirit C2. The Hull C, that's marked down for plans to be with it. Do you think when the Galaxy comes out, we'll have its modules? It depends. So at the very least, it will have its cargo modules. That be my expectation. But Clan keep on saying that they want to have the gameplay, or at least a lot of the gameplay for ships that they bring out now. So it's quite possible, if it arrives at the right time, that they'll also have its sort of modular changes too. Do you see the Raise Guide Squadron 42 predictions? No, but I will check them out. I'll write that down in my Raise Guide. Gotcha. Do you think it's justified to have stopped saying Squadron 42 and giving a price increase, considering we haven't seen anything on it, or it's not raised? I would have liked them to have said, we're going to stop selling it because of this, and this is why. I don't know why they've done that. But yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a little bit. Like, why? Your CIG are under so much scrutiny constantly. It's better for them to say stuff, even if it's bad or whatever, in pretty much any circumstance, rather than just let the community randomly come up with ideas while they did it. Star Citizen has a history of releasing things and pulling back. Not hugely, in some stuff, yeah. Do you think they'll bring back the jukebox? Well, the jukebox should be in-game in some way, but it might just be only in-game tunes, right? What is Death of a Spaceman? Mortality in Star Citizen. So basically, when you die in Star Citizen, when this sort of game's released or later in development, you will get injured. You're basically... You can be recovered still, yeah. So you check from your pod or whatever. You can be recovered. You can get injured or whatever. But sometimes your ship's gonna explode or whatever. Basically, when your ship explodes or you get shotgunned in the face, you effectively respawn as your medical clone. Boop! It transfers your memories over as best as it can. Very similar to Eve, but you can't clone hop, at least yet. And you're that new clone now. Now, you might have some damage on you because the process is not perfect. So you might not be able to use one of your limbs properly, or so you have like a bionic, is the idea. And eventually, if you die lots, and don't look after yourself, you will permanently die. And then you have to make a new character, but that will be you'll give all your assets and stuff to your new character. They basically want penalties for dying and mortality in game, and you not want to die. You sort of play like you're trying to preserve your life. That is Death of a Spaceman. So I was sorting out the music. Do you think going forward, CIG will focus more on announcing / releasing ships that are already almost done versus concept? So they're working on clearing out concepts and working on ships that are going to be straight to flyable. So it's a mixture of the two. They are finishing off a lot more ships than they are sort of announcing, as it were, which is good. There are some ships like the Hull C and the Orion, which are going to take a long, and Endeavour, which are going to take a long time to get in game, unfortunately. So sort of bear that in mind. Do you think Titan suits will be added into the live universe with different variants for different job sectors? Yes. I think that they're supposed to be utility, but there's obviously going to be combat ones as well. Do you think there will be a surprise release of the Santok guide during Alien Week? It is possible. A lot of people think the same. The engines of the Furies use the same tech, so it shouldn't be too much more for that, right? Well, they've been working on the Santok Cure for a while. Hey, Bored, non-related to Star Citizen, but where can I see your Warhammer 40,000 stuff? Big 40k fan. I will start posting on my social media, so on Twitter mostly. And potentially on my Facebook as well. But you'll start seeing it on Twitter. If there is a thirst for it, then I'll do a bit more. I am planning to potentially move up to, or at least I'm going to visit, but I play some 40k and some Age of Sigmar and that sort of stuff up in Manchester with some of the CIG guys at some point. Do you know what the ship of the month and the flare is for June? Not yet. We should potentially find that out later this week. ETA for any ship that is a true carrier. So really that's the Kraken at the moment, right? Liberator, Kraken, and things like that. There might be some other pocket carriers, true. Obviously things like a Bengal or true carriers as well. It depends on the sort of scope and size you're talking about. There will be some in game. Lots of different sizes. Do you think they're skipping a QT release to use time to train new employees from the new branch? Partially. I mean, I think that's one of the things. I do also think that they're trying to iron out a load of the issues with 3.18, 3.19. I'm trying to get 3.20 into a really good state as well. I do think we'll see 3.19.1 and 0.2 patches, potentially a 0.3 patch as well. They'll trying to get the game in as good state as possible before they move on to 3.20. Because it's persistent entity streaming, getting that ironed out as much as possible is great for them. Do you think we'll see the UE more outside of Invictus as they patrol through the Santa system? Yes, and you'll also see the fleets and that sort of stuff patrolling around other star systems, especially ones where UE have a lot more presence. They're going to be strong security forces. So Stanton's an interesting one because it's sort of a more private security, but it does have a bit of UEE sort of presence, whereas like things like Terra and Sol are going to have strong UEE presence. During 3.17 and it's we're talking about the remote turrets again. Yeah, that is sort of strange. There's a load of other weird stuff I've seen recently with like the gun racks in ships, allowing you to sort of, if you change put some weapons in the gun rack and then save any loadout change to actual ship, they sort of count as when you reclaim the ship as reclaiming the guns as well, which is great. You can put the Furies sort of in the cargo grids, in the physics grids of ships by things like the Starfarer, attaching them or putting them really close to the rails, touching the rails where the sort of fuel pods are normally, and it counts them as being in the physics grid and moves with them, so you can have them as like a little carrier for Furies and things like that. I'm really liking some of the bugs in the game at the moment, and it's nice to know that that sort of stuff just works, so that Clan Pym could ratify that as gameplay if they wanted to. Do you think Stanton will become like a true high security system once Pyro's out? It will be a high security system, it's just going to be potentially not as high as Terra, and it's going to be more divided into multiple security zones, which are a bit different. Did CIG ever confirm if there were aliens that were alive, or if the companies in-game were just reverse engineering the technology they found of alien societies? So, there are aliens in-game, the Banu, who are the sort of more tradey race, sort of quite Persian-esque influenced. There's the Vandal, who are the main bad guys of Squadron 42. They look like angler fish, sort of fish people. Very big and scary. Nom nom nom. Fighty. Like they're Klingon fish. They are. They've got the scythe and the glaive and stuff, so they exist. They've got the Devaran, who are part of the UE Empire. So the Devaran are samurai bird people who have been conquered by the UE, and they're not like, they haven't got a huge population, but they do exist within the UE, and you will see them wandering around cities eventually. You've got the Xi'an, who are tortoise people, turtle people, and they exist. They have an empire. They're sort of very similarly poised, the sort of Cold War-ish with the humans, although they're relatively friendly now. They previously had sort of Cold War. They're the Kurthak that are behind them. We don't know much about them. We know that Xi'an and the Kurthak had something called the Spirit Wars. They fought, but we don't know much about the Kurthak. They're the Oresians, or Osarians, who are sort of very primitive, that live on a planet, have sort of like light arrays on their heads that communicate with lights. Any other races that I've missed out that we are aware of? There was a race that was wiped out during the Mesa era. That's sort of all of them at the moment that we're aware of. There's going to be other weird alien life forms. Oh, someone has sent me lots of money. Thank you very much. Independence Day is awesome. Don't insult the fish people. No, there's nothing wrong with being a fish person. I mean, I like Cthulhu as much as, and the deep ones as much as the next guy. I have fish people. I have beautiful fish people right here that I've painted for my copy of Unfathomable. I like fish people. Mother Hydra and Papa Dagon. I do love my Cthulhu. I'm starting to get more and more into various Cthulhu stuff. But I probably will run some Cthulhu tabletop stuff at some point. I've got a fully painted, very extensive set of Cthulhu Death May Die, and I've bought into the new Kickstarter and all that sort of stuff as well. So, there's just loads of random Cthulhu talk in my chat now. That's correct. Wagon looking fluggen, indeed. Do you think the character creator would or should be reworked eventually? It will be. I'm adding various hair and beards and stuff to it as well. Core mother effers. Did CIG ever confirm? That's what we talked about. Is the ship thruster VFX too small? Some people really like the big trails and the big plume, big engines, big power, right? I think there'll be some manufacturers that do that. It'll be a nice range. I like just general role play and I also have, I think, all of, well, like one mini set, although I'm going to 3D print it, of Mansions of Madness as well. But I want to do some Call of Cthulhu. You got six Furies in the Starfarer, did you? Oh no, we did 6 shit. What's in Furies? It was incredible. Okay, yeah. Which Alien Week war bonds do you think will be available? I'm guessing 2 out of the 3 of the following: Venom Matchman, Defender, or Prowler. Yeah. You've got the Rylan, you've got the Santoki Eye as well. You've got things like that. You obviously got things like maybe they'll sell limited glaives again. I know they'll sell the glaive, but maybe they'll sell limited scythes again, although that's less likely. And we've got blades as well. You should see the Roland on sale. YouTube is going to have a PTV race in the verse anytime soon. So once the ground vehicles don't get stuck, yes, I think a lot more people and content creators and people will be more willing to play more readily once 3.20 is out and there's a load of silly game modes in Arena Commander that you can just jump into and just play. There's very little time investment required for that, and no faff. Melted ship keeps its original purchase value and does not change with changing ship prices. So when you melt a ship, you get all of the money that you put into that. All of the actual money that you put into it. Not its value or anything like that, but all the money, the actual dollars that you put into it. I believe. That's the case for all of them. Has there been any mention of AI blades or hacking recently? Not really. What kind of flora and fauna do you think will be implemented, if any at all? Large range. We know they're working on alien animals at the moment. There's like space cows. There's the pyro crab, and like the big Cthulhian crabs, and lots of little ones. I say little ones, still bigger than a human. The little ones. There's the scythopods, or like little flying roach rat things. Branta. There's loads of stuff they will eventually have in game. And plant-wise, they keep on expanding out the plants. So let's talk about the Idris and how we could get the leaked one that was in the PTU for 3 days back in the PU. I love the vids. What are you running for? Yeah, so we did see that when they were testing out Fleet Week, that they did have the interior of the Idris, which led a lot of people to think, including myself, that we might see an Idris tour. It was so the Idris is getting closer and closer to release. I do think they want to get the resource management system out first. So sort of bear that in mind. Makes sense that they'll want to do that because we need sort of we need permission systems. We need proper multi-crew and that sort of jazz for capital ships to actually be used properly in game. What else we got? There hasn't been any more talk about the 600i rework as of late, but I would expect an update relatively soon on that. Have you had any news on when the Vulture will be available in game? It's possible that the Vulture will be in game for 3.19.1, as in purchasable in game. If not, it will be 3.20. I'm hoping that Imperium go, you know what? It should be in game. Any idea when settlements will be available? Star Citizen Settlement is better than Starfield, I reckon. So, with Starfield stuff, Starfield's obviously going to be in your hands in a more complete version a lot sooner. And it's going to be very quick and modular and get the job done, right? So, probably not like super extensive, probably like basic bases, a more basic version of what you've got in like No Man's Sky sort of thing, or Subnautica. That would be my expectation for Starfield. I don't know if Clan Imperium fully know exactly what they want to do with bases yet. For the full extent, anyway. How's the docking thing for the Connie and Aqua been fixed? So for the constellations, I believe it's fixed in 3.19.1. How often does the 400i go on sale? I mean, it'll be on sale again for Intergalactic Aerospace Expo in November, and probably a couple of times between now and then. Will Corps ever be at war with each other at a planetary scale? Hurston versus Microtech. So there might be star systems that are more like that. So at Pyro, you've got all the factions fighting each other. So you've got the what are they all called? The Bernie Boys and the guys that and Batman. The Batmen and Bernie Boys all fighting each other. That's what they're called, right? All their names elude me. Keep that gorgeous head of yours shiny. Hope you're feeling well, buddy. Thank you very much. Yeah, but I'm pretty tired. I've had a lot of coffee today. I do need to go relatively soon because I want to release a video. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you very much for the donation. No, for the sub. Very much appreciated, sir. Will all planets have atmosphere? To some degree, yes, but some of them might basically have none, right? We'll have varying gravity and varying atmospheres. Do you think an alien ship will be announced and immediately flyable during a week? It's possible. It's possible that we could see that for the Santok Yai. It's possible we could see that for a new alien ship or vehicle. I need to replay Cyberpunk with all its improvements. Did they ever say why the 600i wasn't on sale during Fleet Week? Because it's not a combat or military ship. Speaking of the 400i, do you think CIG will attempt a last rework of it at some point? So expect some light tweaks to all ships. They need to make them all ready for the resource management system. They need to bring them all up to gold standard. How's the house search going? I've got a few that I'm looking at, but not amazingly well. It's pretty chilled at the moment, so I'm sort of looking, but I'm not committing unless I see something great. So it's going, but I'm sort of happy to see where the house market goes as well. Once I finish the stream, I'll be getting a video out and then looking around to see if I can find some houses. I do have a viewing this week. Oh, I think it's of a house that's already sold. Will base building be the only for people that pay with cash? No, everything will be available and doable in game. Not a cash only thing. You've probably been asked this about 40 times. When do you think 3.19.1 will be out? So it'll be out, I think, most certainly later this week. What have they on the cards in regards to changes for trading? It's my main loop at the moment. So eventually, trading will be quite extensive. So they've got dynamic universe simulation and economy stuff planned. So stuff will literally be wanted based on demand. So you'll have minerals and iron and stuff used in production, which will need to be moved to the particular areas. So you can drop it off and sell it somewhere, which will then sell it somewhere else and want it moved there. They'll use it in production of components or whatever, or it might go through multiple manufacturing processes, like turned into superconductors and sort of chips and electronics and stuff, and then made into weapons. Now those weapons will actually be stocked in shops, and then obviously that larger scale for ships and stuff like that. So there will be a dynamic universe, and obviously when they add Pyro, that will add a lot more to that sort of system. In the shorter term, they'll continuously add more and more things that you can do with trade, more trade goods, so we're sort of waiting on the larger dynamic universe stuff to come into the game. I have a Carrack, and I'm wondering if they will ever rework the elevator in the ship so that it goes all the way up and down. What do you think? I can tell you that the the Reclaimer's elevator is working particularly well in 3.19.1. I think the Carrack's elevator... you might see some tweaks to the Carrack. You're not going to see any major changes. So they are working on a mini-map and updates to the star map. That's sort of in the 42 dev branch at the moment. Don't know when it's actually coming to the persistent universe. Right now I see a lot of desync with things like Scorpius and Corsair wings between players. Okay, so it's sort of semi-local weird. Does CIG have a plan to address those issues? Probably, but I've not heard specifically. 3.19.1 does a huge amount to address a load of problems like that, though. At least it looks like lots of the database stuff is a lot snappier. AI appears to be a lot sort of more responsive. Do you think they'll have a community event, a haul cargo, to build a station when we get Pyro? There might be things like that, like But there's going to be certainly emergency quests, effectively, for bring a huge amount of material from here to here, and then lots of people can get involved with it. As CIG talked about the implementation of AI to possibly help speed up game production, they have not. I suspect they might use some AI tools and some AI-driven stuff in the future, but they haven't talked about anything like that yet. The latest patches have given us some major performance boosts regarding client FPS. Is editing the user.cfg worth it? It can be. It can give you some stability or allow you to change some additional sort of factors and things. I need to fiddle around and look at exactly what is viable at the moment. I have not looked at my user.cfg guide or any other user.cfg guides for a couple of years, actually, or at least a year. Speaking of the reclaimer rework, do you expect a cargo hatch to be able to remove boxes? I don't know. I like the idea, though. That does make sense, right? You can use a Saber Raven in a race if you wish. What is your opinion of the pirate version of the Idris being hijackable in-game because it gives access to players to players in critical beacons? I like the fact that people can steal ships, even if they're ships that aren't ready. There is currently a salvage lift on the back. Do not use it in gravity. It will kill or drop you. Okay. When is Alien Week? So I'm expecting it to be starting sometime between the 12th and the 16th. So next week at some point to start. You'll probably see some news about it later today. What might be some specific creative directions CIG may want more insight into before choosing a direction to take anything they're working on? What? That was a very roundabout question that didn't really... my brain. When is the next time the 600i might be available? Don't know. Definitely during Fleet Week. Not Fleet Week. Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. End of November. Probably a couple of times before that. CIG will say. Right. I am going to see who else is streaming, because I'm going to get a new video out in a second. A podcast with Zin and I talking about lots of different things, including the Fury carriers. Bear with me 1 second and I'll do a bit of a roundup. Who's actually streaming at the moment? Who is online? I will send you over to Space Tomato because he is a beautiful boy and I love him. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Genuinely appreciated. I'm quite enjoying 3.19.1. I'm hoping it's going to be a good deployment. And maybe we don't have a load of terrible problems or like loads of 30Ks or whatever. It's looking like it's going to be quite smooth transition, but it's Star Citizen, isn't it? Sometimes it just kicks me straight on the balls. So hopefully that will all go well. Stay tuned for a video coming up within the next probably like half an hour on my channel. And thank you so much for watching, and for the donations, for the subscriptions, for the likes, for the joining buttons, for the Patreons, for the Twitch subs, all that jazz goes a long way to help the channel. Genuinely, thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great time. Let's do /raid. Boop. Give Space Tomato some love.